We now return to Let's Play Zeus and the impending crisis in our fleece and our food. I think that we need to kind of bolster this just a bit so that next season's onion farms are a little bit better. It's interesting that he took this route on the back. He didn't have to do that. I wonder, putting a roadblock there, force him around, and then would he come back through this way just because it's the shortcut? I mean, obviously he's going that way, and it doesn't really seem to make a difference. It says we have plenty of food now. Obviously we are working towards this. Priest is eating my food, as to be expected. I can still do my idea of putting a granary down here and getting these guys. They need marble. Okay. Where... Why aren't they sending people out? Or are they not able to go get more since the walkers are gone? That's a little unusual. Surely that's not what's going on there.
What could be better than
It
to have
is.
your people well fed?
That's ridiculous. That's actually pretty bad. Okay, well, in that case, maybe I should pause this for a moment, because we've got a massive amount of unemployment. I should perhaps be utilizing this. I mean, I could just have it kind of in here. It doesn't really have to be out this way. Either way, it would be something that has to be walked by. Right? And then I could just keep farms on either side of this, so I don't really have to have this go wandering out here. Let's try that. Just kind of knock out some more trees. Gonna have to knock out a little bit more. Bring this around. Put a couple columns there for fun. Now this, I mean, I guess it can accept all. In fact, it's also going to have to accept wheat for the horses. Or will it go directly from the trading post all the way down here to the horse ranch? Because I do want those here as well. I mean, I might just end up having a little loop here for this guy. That wouldn't be too bad, actually. Well, for now, we'll just keep it as it is. And let it go. Alright. So now, right. This actually goes to 10. So 5 is what we determined, right? Which is the same as there. It will actually squeeze in there and touch. So this actually brings about an interesting dilemma for me, because it's starting to limit sort of the ability to make things look nicer or better. So, you know, if I take the stadium and have to connect it into my housing blocks, that prevents me from basically doing like with the palace and setting it off on its own. Not necessarily. For this one, sure, because it's not linear, but for this housing block, this would be linear. This is probably about to collapse at some point, isn't it? No? Oh, I guess not, because this guy's walking right up next to it. Never mind. So, you know, having the destination for here would be fine, because I could set, you know, a gymnasium here. The gymnast would walk all the way to the stadium, walking through whatever pathway, although I'd have to be careful here, because he could probably shortcut it that way, depending on where I put this. But it's not sitting within any other realm for me. I could not put it here and really utilize it in here, because the athletes are just going to wander back and forth here. We already came across this last episode when I was talking about it. I cannot get an athlete trapped in that loop. So I basically have a choice here. I can just put the monument in the middle, and this is going to be 10, which means that it would extend to, well, it goes 3, so it would have to be here? No, it would end up being here. Well, it would end up being weird anyway. So basically it's going to be sticking out right in the middle of everything if I put it here. So I might just not have the access to the athletes here. Access to the stadium for these guys. I might just forego that. Anyway, I need to be working on other things like feeding my damn people, because this is a little bit of a crisis. Even though it's telling me I have enough food,
What could be better than to have your people well
really, I mean, she's starting to look a little bit better now. Old Demeter there. Now that I desperately need some people. Okay, so this is done. Why don't we go ahead and, well, I mean, I could. Yeah, let's soak up some people real quick with Dionysus. And probably should work on beautifying the road. In fact, if I have it off to the side, yes, I have to remember I wanted to save myself a little bit of room. So we'll actually put it right here, and instead of boulevards, we'll just use avenues to get in. I will have to remember that I cannot block this off, though. And this is really just sort of a little pet side project. It's not necessary whatsoever to make this happen. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm not going to be able to do this, am I? Because to get to doing this, this isn't going to work. Because I can do... It's so hard to hit the perspective on that. So I mean, it technically works, but I think that still blocks off. It does. Now, I mean, they can come up and around the back, so I guess that's a moot thing for me to be concerned about. We do still have options. So it's going to have to, like... I mean, it doesn't actually have to hit the road. So we can just kind of go like this, and then... Oh, there. Bring this back. It's completely unnecessary for any road to be out here at all. Unless I wanted to put a tower right there, I suppose. There. I mean, it looks a little weird. Just because of the way the walls are built, it does not look so good. So I may change my mind on that, but the important thing is that they can still have a pathway here, which is good. If I put parks back there, are they going to be able to walk on the parks? I feel like not.
Traders love cities where Hermes is in residence.
Yes, and indeed we probably will not be doing Hermes. Right, so now that we got this, do I actually have enough? I do. Okay, so let's maybe, now that things seem to have... Boy, before we do this, let's see what we can do for... I don't think I can export any of that armor, can I? I can. Good. We'll begin doing that, because, yeah, it's getting a little out of hand. Yeah, we'll just come back to that at some point. I'll have to figure out this as well. marble situation. That's because it's being built over here in a temple. So how am I going to do this? Because we're going to have some of these outside of the walls. They don't have to be. There is plenty of room here for me to be able to put just sort of a wall here. Or even just bring it down and enclose it, although not really, because the wall that I've got now, it's only lining up with this. That's the only... fuck. That's the only reason it's even there. That looks better. I don't know what this is. This weird thing is doing. There. But this center point is the only thing dictating that that's where the road goes. They're mining a lot of that marble out. Quarrying. Okay. So, because the, I mean, they seem to be taking an enormous amount of food. This just isn't working, this drop-off point. This just really isn't working. But people don't seem to be hurting for food. We are getting a little low. So this, the idea that we need to continue to support the amount that we do, this may not work out so well for having even more of these around. That is actually kind of a negative thing I've got going on there. Olympic Games are about to begin. Slabs of marble and sculpture.
Traders love cities where Hermes is in residence.
I think we need to have another foundry because I'm noticing there are some people here sitting idle. And in fact, we can probably make do with one less armorer. That's a little bit much. Alright, yeah, man.
The unemployed get so upset when I ask them to pay their taxes. I wish they'd find jobs.
Look at all the jobless people.
Okay, well, if that's our big problem right now, then I'm not super worried about it. How's this handling? Yeah, nothing doing with our unrest, so that's not a big deal. I'll just come back to that. So what I could do, anyway, I could just start putting down more guardhouses just to kind of fill things in. So, I mean, that's always an option. We do sort of have a wine thing going, but we are full on wine. We're full on armor. Between the selling it and the thing I just deleted, I don't know. We'll have to see how well that keeps that maintained. So what are the other things we're missing out on here? You're not going to get a horse in this. Food, armor, olive oil. Okay, food, armor, olive oil. I guess I've just got too many of these. Which means I could basically double them. Not the wine, because that's going to be too far away, but maybe... Well, I might even be able to actually do double wine. Double wine, double... But that's not really where the problem is it? The problem seems to be in our granary storage, so maybe I'll need to reconsider what I've done here and try and space this out to have... Because this is just an arbitrary bend here too. This doesn't even go to any corner or anything, so what I could do is I could actually push this out one so I could have another storehouse on this side. Bring this forward somehow. Or not, because I guess there wouldn't be anything. So just like a monument, I guess, would be in the middle of this, and then just have two granaries surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4. Pushing it further, though, is that going to be too far for this to get to? I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that, but that might be the solution here. Then at least we can get rid of like this and put down a second one. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough rambling of nothing important. I could lower the wages to get rid of some of the unemployment problem, but that's not really going to be super effective in the long run. While we're, I'm honestly just going to have to think about this one. Otherwise, the unemployment thing I can always turn on my towers, so that's not a long-term problem. The long-term problem is ultimately just kind of figuring out where I'm going to find support for all these people. Because I don't know. I mean, I could just shove them into farms. I'd talked about that before, but right now, let's go take a diversion and do something a little bit more interesting. Right now, won't get a super good start on it this episode because we're kind of just in a review period. There we go. You have again decided to leave Larissa temporarily and establish a second colony. When the second colony is securely in your fold, Larissa will be nearly self-sufficient and dripping in wealth. This time we go to Smyrna. It's a land rich in both copper and silver ore. The ores of Smyrna will significantly bolster Larissa's wealth. Foundries produce bronze which, in and of itself, is valuable, but is even more valuable when it is manufactured into sculpture and armor. Silver is money, pure and simple. Bustling mints will convert the silver into drachmas, and your treasury will grow. When you've established industries to your satisfaction, hit the gold button, blah-da-da. Okey-doke. So how is this one different? Basically, we'd be surrounding that. Okay. Here's where our food situation is. I don't know that this has anything useful to me. In Pharaoh, this would be full of reeds, but that's not a thing. Okay, so I've got food over here. It is, however, held together by wolves. Dairies and goats and onion farms. Okay. So, we have a choice of... Boy, is this all I've got? Is silver on top and just these few copper? I mean, I guess. Okay, so before I waste any more of this episode, I'm going to pause and figure out my layout. Alright, so I've thought maybe this time I'll just go small. Seeing as how there's a lot to just kind of expand to, but I don't really feel like doing that. I think we'll just kind of do this one as quickly as possible. So I'm going to have my palace up here, and we're going to try a minimalist build for elite housing. I'm thinking maybe getting 4 elite housing up here, which would be 2 companies, probably just hoplites, and a stadium here, and then we'll have a small housing block right around here. Potentially more. I mean, I could expand, but then I'm going to surround this with wall. Now I realize that's going to make this highly inefficient. It'll either leave the industrial sector outside of town, or I'll have to make a crossway in here, and I don't know. I haven't really decided yet, but I've also decided that I'm going to gonna chicken out and not face the wolves, even though they're really not that big of a deal, and I could put a guardhouse down. This is just easier. I can easily subdivide this into onions on one side and sheep on the other, and kind of create a natural barrier. Now, I assume, seeing as how we've already faced off against 2 creatures, there will be another opportunity, and I have no idea where that is going to be. So that could be interesting and or disastrous. I'm not quite sure yet. So anyway, let's go ahead and just put down some very early things. I figure I'll put the agora on the inside. That'll allow me to build on the outside of this loop. And then I will just go ahead and close it off like so. And naturally I will require having one of these. And I mean, I guess I can just have it. There's really not a good place. I guess I could have it close to the front of this area, but having it here kind of keeps it so that this guy can walk to anything else that catches on fire. Not outside, but this will have its own inspector anyway. So maybe we'll just put it up here. Because if I, well, no, see, here's the thing. I can totally game this if I use walker mechanics. I could put the infirmary pretty much outside of town, and because it would start at the right, I'm assuming it'd pop out the bottom. So why don't we instead put this here? And I was kind of thinking that I would have the wall run along here. So that's going to be 2 wide, which means I'll have basically 4 along here. That's too big for a theater. And I mean, honestly, I don't know that I'm really going to have a theater in this. I didn't leave myself room for a lot of expansion. I don't think this is going to be the place to have that. And really, I might not even have the school buildings and all that within the walkers thing anyway. So I guess that means that the gymnasium, because they need at least one culture building, will be in here somewhere. And if I really need another, I'll just do a philosopher's podium, because that's small. We will need to get water, because that's something that I never seem to remember. Oh my god. Put that there. And then of course we need houses. So we'll begin lining the houses there, and we'll get an early start on some of our beautification, just to kind of help out the place. Okay, let's get some people in here. I'm fully aware. And it looks like the entrance is on the other side of the city, because why wouldn't it be?
Now, I've heard that there's a cornucopia of food here. Yummy!
So Hermes is the only one that I do not, in any of my cities, have a temple to, and will not have a temple to. So, I suppose we can do that as well. I did not really leave room to put that within my plan, but maybe I could have a road going out the back side and enclose that or incorporate that. It'd be nice if it fit up here. This is kind of interesting what they did here, because it's clearly got a pathway, but there's no reason, unless this is the monster spawn spot, which it's a little close. Okay, so we have a bare minimum. So I need to anticipate first that my clicking today is not so great. I need to anticipate having that nearby. One thing I'm also really neglecting any thought on is a distribution center around here. So I guess that'll be close to the gate on this side. It'll have to be. Will that fit the wall? Not really. The answer is no to that, unless I push it further out here. One, two? Now, I guess it will, even if I put it, well, basically right here. So I'm thinking this is where I'm going to put the Agora. I'm going to put the stadium here, and so I'll just have everything kind of bend around there. Now, I don't know that I'll even have enough room for all the culture buildings that this will require, and be able to fit in a wall. This is kind of a tight area. I'm trying to keep the trees as is, but we may just end up having to tear this out a little bit to push it this way. We'll find out. So let's actually get some food down, get that started. Onion farms, we don't need to go too far out. I think actually if we kind of just maybe cut this off right here, I don't know how many I can get there, but if we do that, this should be enough pasture. So let's say right there then. And so I'll bring the road this way, and you know, let's not go all the way down, because I am going to need a trading area somewhere. And so that's going to take that out pretty much in line, okay, pretty much in line with this over here, in order to be able to use this. And I'm not, obviously not going to be able to use that there. Yeah, that sucks. So if I'm going there, then I can't even, Jesus, I can't even put a second one here. I could put 2 here, it looks like. Just barely. And I did save myself space here for 1 as well. But anyway, I guess to get that, we will need to do something like so. There. Sheep may cross the road and then may end up over here. Let's hope not. That's actually what we're waiting on. I won't have food until these start growing. And that's probably way too many. It is. So I have to pull that off just a minute. And... okay. Still need workers, because of course I do. What if I think I can just get away with one of these here. And he ought to make it the whole way. No, does not. Well, that's disappointing. That's extremely disappointing, in fact, because... so is there a way... well, now that I look at it, can I even get this pier in here? I could just get that pier in there. So do, on this side, maybe, instead? Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this for a moment. Knock that out, knock that out. Let's try this guy. A little bit more successful. Still not enough. So I guess I'm gonna have to come from the other side then. That's a little lame. If I push this to that, it's not gonna be a completely fertile field. I don't really anticipate myself using that much. Whatever. We'll just stick it in the forest. And we'll just get rid of you. Tribute paid. I'm not sure when my tribute's coming this way, but... okay. So this does create that other dilemma now, where... he does go all the way to here, though. At the very least, he will hit the trade post there, but we're going to have to create our own little area for eventual everything else. Thankfully, we made the season just in time to get something, so let's go ahead and... just going to have to start wiping out some trees. I could put the granary right next to the sickness, and that's not a good idea at all. I'm just trying to... so let's see, if I go here, 1, 2, 3 to here, and then to here, that gets me 2 storehouses. Not that that's entirely necessary, but I probably will actually need that. So, if I do one like right here, that should be enough. And it'll pull back just a bit. It will be in direct line with that. So if I close that off there, again, I'm not super sold on that just yet. We will need to look at gatehouse. Probably bringing it back one, like so, in order to be able to build on the other side of it. Even though that'll jag in and out a little bit. In fact, because if I do this, yeah, it'll just be a weird little corner for a minute, but that's fine. I'll remove that. So now I have to put a U right here. It's kind of interesting how the building inspectors... and then I guess I got room for another warehouse if I need to. Looks like we have enough space. Okay, so that'll work out. Or a monument to offset the terrible appeal that this is going to have. Let's have this run. Let's have this boosted high. That still wasn't enough. Did we...
worship me and the supplies of the forge.
This concerns me. Why are they hanging on to this? Just because there's still not enough people? Very high? I guess we just have too few people. Okay, well, we'll just have to put in some people then. I need to keep in mind I'm going to have a few spaces. So let's do... I mean, I guess it doesn't super matter, but... We'll put, that's going to be, whatever this is, it's going to be right up against a wall, so... We could do... Could we get more in here? Oh, we can. Now, I know I'm not leaving myself any room whatsoever for culture. I could put some culture in the back, because we'll have space against that wall that will be... In fact, though, look at this. I'm not going to have... Oh, it'll just be right there, and if I want this to come in, it'll have to hit that corner. Alright, do I have enough people now? Yes, now I've got food, so now that's... Okay, requisitions bronze. Well, I'm not super ready to start producing that, but I guess I will have no choice. I do have 103 people. There's a lot of people already in. And, I mean, honestly, the colonies, I mean, I know it's open play, so you're kind of setting your own boundaries and all this, but really, we could just in and out and we're done. But I guess we can do that. I want to set up a bronze and definitely a mint operation, so we'll go ahead and do that. Plus, I'm actually kind of interested to keep playing until the next disaster, and I say that, and it's going to be like right in my city and destroy everything. But I guess we'll see. So, I'm going to end this one here, and I'll see you next time.